If someone had told me a year ago that I'd live 2 lifetimes, one full of heartbreak and the other fueled by revenge, I would have laughed. But here I am, standing in front of the same man who once destroyed me. Only this time, I'm not the same girl who cried for him. I remember everything now. Every betrayal, every fake promise, every moment I believed in him, while he kept someone else in his heart. And now, he's back, reborn, furious, and confused. Because I won't save him a second time. I used to love him, blindly, foolishly, wholeheartedly. Ethan Lin, CEO of Lintech, known for his cold logic, quiet power, and the mistress he thought I never knew about. He was drowning in debt, and I gave everything to pull him out. I risked my own family's business, called in favors I didn't want to owe, and stood by him when everyone else walked away. I believed in him when no one else did. I saved his company from collapse. And what did I get in return? He thanked another woman, not just anyone. Her Serena, the so-called strategic consultant who never showed up at meetings, but somehow ended up in his penthouse, more often than I did. Everyone whispered about her, but I convinced myself they were wrong. I told myself Ethan loved me, that he was just stressed, that he'd come around. I was so determined to be loyal that I didn't notice the loyalty was only going one way. I only found out the truth when it was too late, when my own name was being dragged through the mud for misusing company funds. Funds I had poured into saving Lintech. Ethan stayed quiet during the accusations, didn't defend me, didn't say a word when I was removed from my position and practically chased out of the company I helped rescue. Instead, he flew to Singapore with her. That was the last straw in my past life. But then, I woke up. I didn't understand it at first. One minute I was sobbing in the rain, looking up at the apartment I used to share with Ethan. And the next, I was back, a full year earlier. Back to the moment before I signed over my savings. Back to when I still had power. Back when he still loved me. At least on the surface. You'd think I'd warn him, right? Try to fix things. But I didn't. I smiled, played along, and kept every detail of the future locked in my head. I wasn't here to save him this time. I was here to save myself. Ethan, of course, had no idea. He thought everything was just as it was before. His sweet, dependable girlfriend, still blindly loyal to him. But he started noticing the changes quickly. I no longer jumped when he called. I stopped canceling my meetings to fit his schedule. I didn't offer to pay off his company's debts. And most importantly, I started putting myself first. And that's when the cracks began to show. He tried to win me over again, with flowers and empty promises. He even played the "we're a team" card, asking me to step in when the board started questioning his leadership. In the past, I would have defended him. I would have rewritten the reports, smoothed over the bad PR, and handled the investors. But not this time. I simply said, "Ask Serena." He didn't like that. The first time I refused him, he was shocked. The second time, he got angry. The third time, he accused me of being selfish, said I was changing, that I wasn't the woman he fell in love with. And maybe I wasn't. Maybe that woman died the moment he handed the credit for my work to someone else. It was satisfying to watch him struggle, not because I wanted to see him fall, but because I finally understood that I was never supposed to hold him up in the first place. I was supposed to build myself, but Ethan, he couldn't let it go. He started digging. Why was I acting different? Who was I talking to? Why was I one step ahead in every business meeting? And most of all, why wasn't I coming back to him? Then came the big twist. He approached me one night outside a networking gala, eyes intense, jaw clenched, voice low. "Tell me the truth," he said. Do you already know what's going to happen? That was the moment I realized something terrifying. He had come back too. He was reborn. Just like me, everything changed. After that, the lies stopped. The mask fell. And the man who once used silence as a weapon now started using his voice, loudly and with accusation. You owe me everything, he said one day, cornering me in the boardroom. I would have lost it all without you, and you blocked Serena for no reason. I know what you did. I looked him in the eye and said, and I'd do it again, but this time I'm not here to fight for him. This time I'm the one holding the cards. He can threaten me, guilt-trip me, even beg, but I'm not saving his company again. I'm not shielding his secrets, and I'm definitely not handing over my future to a man who only learned to love me after I stopped loving him back. What Ethan doesn't understand is this version of me doesn't want revenge for the past. I want power in the present. And while he's busy unraveling, trying to recreate what we had, I'm already 5 steps ahead, partnering with his competitors, backing the investors he once burned, quietly building an empire while he desperately tries to hold on to his. But here's the real kicker. He still believes he can win me back. He thinks there's a path where I'll choose him again. That if he just says the right thing, does the right grand gesture, I'll fall all over again. But the woman he fell in love with doesn't exist anymore. And tonight, he's going to find that out the hard way. Because the one thing I never got in my past life was closure. And this time, I'm going to take it, on my terms. It started with a single phone call. A name lit up on my screen that I hadn't seen in months. Ethan Lynn. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because I already knew why he was calling. Lintech was bleeding. The investors were panicking. And his golden consultant, Serena, had vanished the moment the crisis started. History was repeating itself. But this time, I wasn't. The safety net. The next day, I walked into a cafe for a meeting and saw him sitting there, uninvited. His suit was sharp, but his eyes looked tired. He stood when he saw me, like we were old friends, but I didn't return the gesture. He smiled, trying to look calm. You look different, he said. I am. He cut to the chase. I need your help, just for a little while, until things stabilize. I stared at him, letting the silence stretch. Then I said, You remember everything, don't you? That wiped the smirk off his face. He didn't deny it, just nodded slowly. And for the first time in both our lives, he looked unsure. That was the moment I realized. He wasn't here for business. He was here for redemption. But it was already too late for that. I had changed too much. I had spent months building something of my own, not just a business, but a network, quiet partnerships, strategic alliances, and even a foundation to support women-led startups. It wasn't glamorous yet, but it was real. It was mine. I had a voice now, and I wasn't giving that up for someone who had once silenced it. Still, I was curious. Why had he come back? Why now? Over the next few weeks, I started watching him from a distance, just like he used to do with me. Lintech was crashing, fast. Serena had jumped ship, taking confidential client files with her. The board was in chaos, and Ethan, he looked like a man chasing ghosts. He showed up to my office one evening, rain dripping from his coat, asking for just 5 minutes. What do you want from me? I asked. The truth, he said. I didn't see it before. How much you did. How much I ignored. I thought I was in control, but I wasn't. I was blind. I almost believed him. Almost. But just when I was beginning to think he had really changed, I found out something that made my blood run cold. He wasn't just here to ask for help. He was trying to buy out one of the smaller startups I had quietly invested in, using someone else's name, trying to get into my territory from the side. The moment I learned that, I knew the truth. He didn't come to make peace. He came to compete. That's when the real game began. I stopped avoiding him. I started meeting him head-on, in boardrooms, at public panels, in press releases that made subtle but cutting jabs. The media began to notice. Ex-lovers now business rivals. The headlines read. They thought it was juicy gossip. They didn't. No, it was war. Every time we faced off, there was something unspoken in the air. Not hate, not love. Something more complicated, regret maybe, or the stubborn hope that we weren't entirely broken. But then came the board meeting. One of Lintech's key investors, someone who had always been loyal to Ethan, suddenly offered to back my project, publicly, on the record. The room froze. I saw the flicker of shock in Ethan's eyes before he masked it. He stood, calm, measured, but his voice cracked just once. I gave everything for this company, he said, and now she's taking it. I looked him in the eye and replied, you handed it over the moment you underestimated me. After that, he stopped holding back. He tried to buy out my partners, sent lawyers to dig through my early contracts. He even reached out to my family, hoping to find some leverage. But that only confirmed what I'd known all along. He wasn't angry because I walked away. He was angry because I was winning without him. And yet, somewhere deep down, there was a part of me that still remembered the Ethan I once loved, the one who laughed in the kitchen, the one who let me fall asleep on his shoulder during late-night flights, the one who, before all the lies, made me feel seen. That part of me wanted to believe he had come back to fix things, that maybe there was still a version of this story where we didn't end as enemies. But then, just as my company was about to sign its biggest international deal, something went wrong. A document was leaked, a private pitch deck, one that made it look like I had stolen confidential data from Lintech in my earlier days. Investors panicked. Emails flooded in. Meetings were cancelled. And I knew, without needing proof, who had done it. He had gone too far. I didn't cry this time. I didn't break down or hide. I gathered my team. We went public with our version. We laid out the facts. And most importantly, we revealed the evidence, every traceable action, every connection between Ethan and the fake leak. It was risky. If it backfired, I could lose everything. But if it worked, I'd finally be free. The story was everywhere by morning. CEO of Lintech, accused of sabotaging former partner's startup. It and hit like wildfire. And that's where things stand now. My company's future hangs by a thread. His reputation is unraveling. And the past, the one we both tried to rewrite, is knocking on our doors harder than ever. He says he still loves me. Say, I don't know what love is anymore, but I do know this. I didn't come this far to lose now. The day of the hearing arrived with a strange stillness. No rain, no wind, just a quiet tension in the air, like the universe was holding its breath. My legal team and I entered the board's review chamber with our heads held high, but my heart was pounding like it would tear through my chest. Ethan was already there, seated with his lawyers, eyes trained on the documents in front of him, avoiding mine. The room was packed. Investors, reporters, even former employees of Lintech who had heard the news. Everyone was waiting to see what would unfold. After all the leaked documents, the media stories, and the emotional fallout, this was it, the final chapter. My lawyer laid out everything, calm, precise, and confident. She showed proof of the fake email accounts, the false timestamp, on the pitch deck, a digital trail that led straight back to someone on Ethan's payroll. All of it happened under his authority, even if he didn't type the emails himself. When Ethan stood to speak, he didn't deny it. He didn't fight. Instead, he did something no one expected. He admitted everything. I was afraid, he said, quietly. I built Lintech with everything I had, and when I saw her rising, I panicked. I thought she'd destroy what I had left. I let my fear turn into obsession. There was a stunned silence. The man who once refused to even acknowledge my value was now owning up to everything in front of the entire industry. He looked over at me then, not with anger, not with regret, but with something like acceptance. Like he finally understood what it meant to lose something you never really deserved to keep. I didn't just lose her, he added. I lost myself. That was the moment it all broke open. The board ruled in my favor. The defamation campaign was exposed. The partnership offers began to flood back in, and within 48 hours, my biggest deal was reinstated. My startup not only survived, it became the story of resilience everyone wanted to be a part of. I had gone from the woman behind the scenes to the one who rewrote the narrative. And Ethan, he stepped down from Lintech a week later. His resignation was quiet. No press conference. No long speech. Just a single statement about taking time to rebuild himself, not his company. I never heard from him again. In the weeks that followed, I moved into a new office, bigger, brighter, full of women and young founders who believed in each other instead of trying to tear each other down. Every wall had stories. Every desk had dreams. And every time I looked at what we were building, I remembered what it felt like to be underestimated, doubted, dismissed. But more than that, I remembered how far I'd come. People often ask if I still think about him, if I ever regret not going back to help him, or wonder what could have happened if I gave him another chance. And the answer is simple. No, because I already did save him, once. I blocked the wrong people, shielded him from truths, and gave up my own dreams to protect his. And he hated me for it. He resented the very act that saved him. This time, I saved myself. The real victory wasn't the headlines, or the deals, or the apology. It was walking away and knowing I never needed to prove my worth to him, or anyone, ever again. In the end, this wasn't just a story about betrayal, power, or redemption. It was about choice. The choice to stop being someone's shadow. The choice to rise on your own terms. And most importantly, the choice to never look back. Because sometimes, the greatest thing you can do for someone who once broke you is to heal without them.